one thing that I have realized / been reminded of in the past week or two is that sometimes writing is really boring. Sometimes, you pitch an idea for an article, or you're sitting down to work on your book, or you have a million ideas for blog posts, and you are sitting in front of your screen or notebook or whatever, and you're like, all right, time to write. And you just don't want to do it. And it's not that you don't have time. It's not that you don't have energy. It's not that you don't want to, really. It's that you're kind of bored. It's sort of, it almost feels like you should be doing something more than you're doing. You're doing all the writing things still. But, what's the point? Sometimes I'm working on something and I'm really enjoying working on it, but at the same time I'm like, I can't wait for this to be over. Especially with bigger projects, like books. I am probably days away from finishing the first draft of my novel. Don't really want to talk about that right now. It's not that big of a deal. However, I am so bored. I am so ready to be done with this thing. I'm so sick of it. I've been working on it for so long and I like it. It's not that I don't like it. It's not that I don't think it's good. It's that I just don't want to look at it anymore. And, what is that? I just call it ready to move on to the next thing syndrome. Which is different from, abandoning a project in the middle because, you don't want to deal with it anymore. That's, something else. This is, I'm so close to being done with whatever this is. It could be big, it could be small. It could be significant, it could be just for you, whatever. You're almost done, but you're not quite done. So what is that feeling where you just don't want to anymore? It's just called being bored. Maybe it's called being comfortable. Maybe I've written all of the parts of my book that have challenged me, and now I just have to fill in the rest of the things. There are so many things I would rather be doing. Not distracting things. Of course I'm always going to want to play more video games or watch more Netflix or rewatch all of the Star Wars movies in order. It's become clear to me that this big project that I have been working on has just forced me to put aside some of the other things that I would like to be doing. And that's fine. Sometimes you put things aside so you can work on more important things. But I'm ready. I'm ready to go back to those other things or move on to things that I'm excited about. How do you get through this part? This, the final stretch is so hard. I've never experienced this before that I can remember. I can't wait to talk about revisions because, I'm an editor. I am a writer, but I almost sometimes enjoy editing more. Some parts of it anyway. And I want to talk about that part. But we can't ignore this part. We cannot ignore the first draft stage. And part of me kind of wishes I would have talked about it more as I was going through it. But I have been keeping things in mind and taking notes. And I'll do some kind of series on the blog or here about first drafts and how the heck you get through this, because it's been almost 5 months, and it's been a very long 5 months. Again, not because I haven't enjoyed writing the book, but because it's just so draining, and it can become so tedious. Day after day, my goal has been write 1,000 words, write 1,000 words, write 1,000 words. Sometimes more, sometimes less, but that's, been my target, but it's the same thing every day. When we talk about consistency, when I talk about consistency and I tell newer writers, be consistent, I'm not necessarily saying you have to write every day. By no means are you any less of a writer if you don't write every day, for sure. But for me personally, the way to get a book written is to work on it most days of the week. I prefer every day just because I'm in it all the time. I'm always thinking about it. I might as well just get a little bit done at a time and chip away at it piece by piece by piece, right? It works for me. That's just my strategy, and you don't have to like it, but it can get so repetitive. And the mundane of doing the writing things and doing the work and the hustling and the behind the scenes things that no one sees, you kind of just have to take it day by day. No one wants to hear that. No one likes that advice. No one wants to hear that, like, oh, you just have to worry about today and then tomorrow worry about tomorrow. People want solutions. And there is really no solution to fighting off boredom other than you just have to keep doing it. You just have to keep showing up. Even if the writing that you do today, like I know the writing that I do for my book later today is not probably going to be the best writing I've ever done, just because I'm in this stage of I just need to get it done, and that's just where I'm at. You just have to keep showing up. You just have to sit down and set a goal. Preferably have set a goal. You should have set a goal like before you sit down. That's like the advice that I give. Let's say you want to write 1,000 words tonight. You sit down, you know you have to do 1,000 words. You might struggle through every single one of those words. You might take hours to do it. It might just feel like it's the worst writing you've ever done, but you just have to show up and do it anyway. That's how first drafts get written. Not because the writer is trying to be perfect, or that the writer's only writing when they feel like it, or the writer's only writing when they're at their best. No, now this is not advice that everyone should take. I'm just going to say that right now. There are circumstances where you should not keep going if, like, you're hurting or you're not feeling well or there are things going on. Like, burnout is real. Life happens. Don't push yourself too hard if it's not going to be good for you. Don't push yourself too hard if it's going to hurt you in the long term. If you're already not feeling well, don't push yourself any harder. It's not going to be worth it. For those who just struggle to get the day-to-day work done, here's what I have to say about that. You have to show up and do your work when you're tired, when you're sad, when you're distracted, when you're not feeling your best, when other things in your life are happening, when there's drama, when there's uncertainty, when you're anxious, when things are just not going well, when the circumstances for writing are not ideal. You still have to do it. You have to. You don't have a choice. You do have a choice if you don't want to take your writing seriously, but the only way to get it done is to get it done. And you could take one day off if you're upset about something, sure. You could take a week off if a family member needs your help and you just need to deal with that. Absolutely. But if you're constantly sitting down to write something and you just keep making excuses and you just keep letting those excuses stop you from getting your work done, that's not acceptable. That no one else can help you with that but you. I can tell you all day long, write anyway, write anyway, write anyway. But if you're constantly coming up with reasons why you can't, then writing just isn't a priority for you. You are not willing to put in the work and the effort to make it happen. And I am not a writing coach. I am just a person who writes and talks about it on the internet. But if I were your coach and you consistently showed up to meetings with me telling me that you thought about writing but you just wanted to watch Netflix instead, or you had too many other things to do and you just couldn't make the time, that's a waste of my time as much as it is a waste of your time. No one's going to want to help you if you're not willing to help yourself. If you're not willing to say, hey, I'm kind of terrified of this book that I'm writing and it's scaring me and I don't want to work on it, so I just keep telling myself that I don't have time so that I don't have to deal with it. Like, that's a real thing. That's a real thing that real writers go through. They make excuses. They aren't motivated. They aren't willing to do anything to get themselves motivated. They aren't willing to show up to do the work. And if you really want to write, if writing means If writing means the world to you, if it is your dream, then you have to show up and do it. What happens when you say you don't want to do the work, but then you do the work, is all of a sudden you feel pretty good about yourself. And you're like, oh, I almost didn't do this, but I did it anyway. I'm pretty awesome. And that makes writing easier. And that makes writing feel like less of a struggle. And it makes you feel better about yourself. And it boosts your confidence. And no one did that but you. And that'll make you feel even better knowing that. All that to say, because of this book, I have 100%ed my August writing goal. I'll surpass it. I'm still writing. Still behind on my overall 2019 goal, but the things that I'm learning about myself, the things that I'm learning about writing, I am having such a good time sharing them with you, and I can't wait to share more of them with you once all this is over, and hopefully, I'll be able to do that. Having written the full 1 million words, I'm very far away, but I'm hopeful. Because every day I'm going to wake up and I'm just going to keep showing up. Even if it's not the best writing, even if I don't feel the best, even if I don't like everything that I do, that's what I'm going to do. Wake up. Get up. Do the writing. Repeat. As always, if there's anything I can do to help you in your writing life, let me know. I will do my best to answer your questions and give you advice if you want it, and point you to some resources that might help you more than I can. Because I'm not an expert. I'm just a person.